The history of bread making is a journey that reflects human ingenuity, agricultural advancements, and the exchange of cultural traditions. From the simplest early flatbreads to the refined artisanal loaves of today, bread's evolution spans over thousands of years and holds a special place in nearly every culture across the globe. Let's explore how bread transformed over the ages and became a staple food across different civilizations. Ancient beginnings, early flatbreads. Bread's origin dates back to at least 14,000 years ago, in the prehistoric era when humans first learned to grind wild grains. Archaeological evidence from a Natufian hunter-gatherer site in Jordan reveals remnants of a primitive flatbread. This early bread was made by crushing wild wheat or barley with stones, mixing it with water to form a paste, and cooking it on hot stones or in ash, creating a basic unleavened flatbread similar to the modern Middle Eastern flatbreads like pita or lavash. In Egypt around 3000 BCE, the discovery of fermentation transformed bread making. Egyptians observed that wild yeasts could cause dough to rise, resulting in lighter, airier bread. This leavened bread was baked in clay ovens and marked the beginning of a staple that would spread across civilizations. The Egyptians were also the first to establish a commercial bakery industry, producing bread for the masses. The spread of bread to the Mediterranean and Europe. Bread spread quickly across the Mediterranean. The Greeks, adopting Egyptian techniques, refined bread making by using different grains like barley and wheat, and experimenting with flavors and shapes. They created various types of bread, including breads that were flavored with honey, nuts, and even cheese. Bread making became an art form, with around 70 types of bread reportedly existing in ancient Greece alone. The Romans, who encountered bread through Greek influence, further developed the craft by introducing milling techniques that produced finer flour. They built communal bakeries and developed a sophisticated grain supply chain to ensure bread was available for the people. Bread even became a political tool in Rome. It was central to the concept of bread in circuses, panem et circenses, where free or low-cost bread was distributed to appease the public. Medieval Europe. Bread as a social staple. During the medieval period, bread continued to evolve and became a dietary cornerstone in Europe, but the type and quality of bread varied greatly depending on social class. Wealthier households enjoyed bread made from refined wheat, while the lower classes consumed darker, coarser bread made from rye or barley. In times of famine, people used alternatives like acorns or beans to make bread, resulting in famine bread, which was less nutritious and often bitter. Baking methods also evolved during this period. Stone ovens became common, allowing for more consistent baking, and community ovens became hubs of social and economic life. Women in villages would gather to bake bread, share recipes, and pass down baking techniques. Monasteries also played a significant role, as monks developed complex breads as part of their dietary routine, including enriched and ceremonial loaves that were given as alms. The Industrial Revolution in the 18th century, wow, it really marked a turning point in bread production. Milling, baking, and ingredient processing all became mechanized. Steel roller mills replaced stone mills, allowing for finer, whiter flour. This was considered a luxury and, a mark of social status back then. The introduction of commercial yeast shortened the time needed for fermentation, making bread production faster and more consistent. Bread factories emerged, providing affordable loaves to urban workers. And, believe it or not, bread became one of the first mass-produced foods. However, this shift toward industrial bread came with a cost. The quality of bread began to decline as nutrition was often sacrificed for convenience. Additives, preservatives, and bleached flours were introduced to improve shelf life. But this bread was often less nutritious than traditional whole-grain bread. The 20th century. Sliced bread and convenience. In the early 20th century, bread underwent another significant transformation with the invention of the bread slicing machine in 1928 by Otto Frederick Rohwedder. Packaged, pre-sliced bread became an instant success in the United States, leading to the saying, "the best thing since sliced bread." Sliced bread, wrapped in plastic, represented the modern shift toward convenience, and white bread became an American household staple. However, this era of bread also coincided with a growing demand for nutrient-enriched bread due to public health concerns over the loss of vitamins and minerals during processing. World War II further spurred innovation in bread making. To ensure soldiers had nutritious food that lasted longer, governments encouraged fortified breads enriched with iron and B vitamins, which became a standard in many countries. However, this further distanced bread from its traditional forms, as flavor and artisan quality often took a back seat to durability and convenience. Modern bread, the return of artisanal and ancient grains. In recent decades, the bread landscape has shifted dramatically, with a resurgence in traditional artisanal bread making. Interest in health and wellness has led to a revival of ancient grains, such as spelt, einkorn, emmer, and kamut, which are considered more nutritious than modern wheat due to their complex flavors, lower gluten content, and nutrient density. Artisan bread making emphasizes long fermentation, often through sourdough techniques that utilize natural wild yeast. Sourdough fermentation enhances the flavor, texture, and digestibility of the bread, as well as its nutrient profile. Artisan bread bakers focus on the craft, dedicating hours to kneading, folding, and fermenting the dough. This approach has rekindled an appreciation for bread as a slow food, where quality, flavor, and tradition take precedence over mass production. Today's consumers are more conscious of what goes into their bread, prompting a surge in organic and whole-grain bread options. Gluten-free bread has also gained popularity, catering to people with gluten intolerance and celiac disease. Bread is no longer seen merely as a filler food, but as a product that can be crafted to suit dietary needs and tastes, making it a versatile staple with a rich cultural legacy. Bread in different cultures today. Bread has remained a vital part of cultural identity around the world. In France, baguettes are as iconic as they are flavorful. In India, unleavened breads like chapati and naan are essential to daily meals. Middle Eastern cultures still enjoy flatbreads like pita, which has been part of their culinary heritage for centuries. And in Latin America, maize-based breads such as tortillas are intrinsic to the cuisine. Each culture has its unique take on bread, from the dense rye breads of Scandinavia to the soft, fluffy bao buns of East Asia, showing the adaptability and creativity embedded in bread making across societies. Conclusion. The evolution of bread from ancient grains to modern loaves is not only a story of culinary innovation, but a testament to human adaptability and creativity. Bread has provided sustenance, connection, and cultural significance across millennia. Today, as we revisit ancient techniques and celebrate artisanal methods, bread continues to evolve, combining the wisdom of the past with the tastes and dietary demands of the present. Whether it's a simple flatbread cooked on an open flame or a complex sourdough crafted over several days, bread's history is truly a shared heritage that brings people together.